Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us today online. Today, we are continuing and we got our next stretch of our global credit management journey. And today we are in Poland. And we are in virtually we are in ancient capital of Poland, which is the city called Krakow, one of my favorite cities around the globe. And today we have a privilege to speak with Robert Dyrcz, my colleague, today's co-speaker. I will try to say my friend. I believe he will accept that. So Robert, please join us today and you are welcome to Credit In.
Good morning everyone. Dzień dobry. Yes, indeed, I'm connecting with you from Kraków, a city on the south of Poland, the old capital of Poland, and I'm really pleased to say a few words about doing business in Poland for credit and collection managers, because I believe, Andrew, this is the
Absolutely.
the way you present the series of webinars like that.
Yeah, the series of Credit In. So for those of you who are for the first time in our event, it's an international journey to discover the real tips and tricks of doing credit management in each and every specific country. We've got big plans to cover the whole world, and today we are in Poland. And today, best way to learn about credit management in the country is to speak with somebody who does that. And Robert is the best person I know who is able to share his experience. Robert, before we start our questions, maybe it would be a good idea to open your presentation and to share your slides.
Mm-hmm. Okay, no problem.
So you will give us brief idea of Poland, of Polish economy and everything, and then we will follow with questions.
Mm-hmm. Do you see it?
Yeah, I can see. I think we can even start our cameras.
Okay. Yeah. So just a few words about PICM. So this is the organizational setup almost 10 years ago. We can say as a response to the growing interest of credit management in Poland. It's still something new, but I'm like moving ahead with spreading the education and not only about credit management on this analytic side. So I'm not specialist on debt collection. Let's be clear. My field is risk assessment and everything what is at the beginning we can say of order to cash process. Okay, that's it. Feel free to ask me any questions in the meantime or interrupt me if you have anything. And this what I prepared is a kind of geography, history, and economically lesson about or speech about Poland. Poland, country in the middle of Europe. As you see, we have a border from west with Germany, Czech Republic, or Czechia, we should say now, Slovakia. These two countries on the south, Ukraine on the east south, Belarus, Lithuania, and there is a little bit here of Russia. It's not marked on this map. We see Russia over there, and you can have an impression that we are divided between Russia and Poland by Belarus, Lithuania, and Ukraine. But we have this funny area which belongs also to Russia. So we have direct border with Russia as well. And of course, we have a Baltic shore, pretty long and very, very beautiful. So if you have a chance, go there. So you will see how beautiful Baltic Sea is on the Polish seaside. and of course with the capital of Warsaw. But the density, the population of Poles is spread as you can see on the right side. So we have concentration around few main cities in Poland. Of course, Warsaw, the main one, with about 3 million inhabitants. Of course, Krakow, the city I am now, which borders with very developed in terms of industrial production region of Silesia, which is divided into two parts: the Upper Silesia and the Lower Silesia. So the Upper Silesia is over there, the most populated region in Poland, I think, and Lower Silesia with the capital called Wrocław, and Upper Silesia with capital called Katowice. We have also Gdańsk on the north of Poland. Actually, it's 3 cities in one big area: Gdańsk, Gdynia, and Sopot. Szczecin on the northwest side, also several others. More and more important city is Rzeszów due to war in Ukraine. It's a kind of logistic hub now for all the military transports to Ukraine. Probably you heard about that. So it becomes in the last months or years pretty important on the map of Poland, and it's developing from the economical sense as well pretty well. Just before the webinar, I said to Andrew that there was a older capital than Krakow called Gniezno, and Gniezno is located very close to Poznań, which is also pretty large city in Poland. So Gniezno was the first capital, then Kraków. For a few centuries, and Warsaw, which is the current one. Okay. I think it's very important to say something about history to understand and to have a sense what is going on in Poland. Probably you recognize this guy, Lech Wałęsa. But it's not an excuse for what happened in Poland for the last 10 years. But I think it's worth to mention that we have not a lot of experience with the modern democracy and the capitalism. If you look on the last more than 200 years of Polish history, we were, first of all, not a state for 120 years over. Just after having a first modern constitution in Europe, and second after US one. So France was a little bit later than us, few months. So just after that, the state collapsed, and there was no Poland on the map of Europe until World War I. This is the time when Poland was brought back to the map of Europe, and just for 20 years before the Second World War. Sorry. So it was a short period of democracy and capitalism. Maybe it's not well known that there was a dictatorship in Poland, and the reason was a general political mess, or at least this was the reason why the dictator Piłsudski took over the power in those days. So it was really short period of democracy. Later, communism, of course, the collapse in 1989 with the help of Lech Wałęsa and many more. supporting him. And here we are, 30 years of modern democracy, of capitalism, and we just celebrated the 20th anniversary of being in European Union, because we joined European Union with several other countries like Czech Republic, Slovakia, Baltic countries on May 1st, 2004. So we have 20 years of being in European Union. And we are the country, I think, with the highest support to European Union, or at least in what we see in the European surveys, right, among European countries. How Poland developed during those 20 or more 30 years is incredible. I think it's the progress is visible everywhere, especially for guys like me. I was born a little bit before we joined European Union, and I see this progress everywhere. Let's see the map of motorways, for instance. There was nothing actually 25 years ago, and now we have almost completed the network of motorways, including highways and expressways. And surprisingly, we are on the 5th place in Europe in the terms of length of the motorways. We have like twice what it's in Netherlands. So the network is almost finished, but it's already very impressive, and it's really helping the economy, right? Moving forward and growing further. In terms of airports, all main cities in Poland, they have their own international airports. Of course, Warsaw, and very close to Warsaw, the airport called Modlin, used mainly for low-cost carriers. In Kraków, of course, we have airport in other cities, and what is I think important to mention, that the traffic on those airports is really booming. I remember when there was 1 million passengers per year in Kraków, like 15 years ago, and now we have close to 10 million. So in the meantime, obviously, Kraków airports and all other airports were expanded, modernized to help service this big traffic. And really we see the growth every year in terms of number of people and also the connections from all around the world, actually. Now just to say one example, now the very interesting trend is to have, for Kraków, is to have more and more connections with Middle East, especially with Arabic countries like United Arab Emirates, Qatar, and so on. Now I heard about Kuwait. So the people from those regions are flying to Kraków and visiting us, bringing here some money, which is very nice for all tourism activity in Kraków, especially. Okay, so let's go to something which will be more interesting for credit managers and collection managers. I mean insolvencies. I use some statistic here of Eurostat regarding that, so you can see how bad is in Poland compared to other countries. Poland is over there. So when we look on the numbers, actually what could be surprising is that the number is very low. Let's compare, for instance, to Spain. The country with more or less the same size in terms of area, inhabitants, citizens, number of companies, which I will be telling you later on. So the number of 350 or around 500 insolvencies per year is really low. Here we have for Spain, for instance, we have few thousands. Like in last year of available data, almost 9,000. Not to mention countries like Germany, when we have far more than 10,000, Bulgaria or Belgium. So this number seems to be very, very low. It's comparable to what we have in Baltic countries. And this is not correct, to be honest, and I will explain in a minute that. Because the statistics covered by Eurostat, and when you decide to take this as a source of information, you need to be careful how data is presented, because all this information on Eurostat is pulled from national statistics offices, and Polish Statistic Office is giving the data only on bankruptcies. So that's why I put this graph on the slide. When you see how many bankruptcies we have in Poland and how many restructurings we have in Poland, different kinds, because we have like 5 types of restructuring processes in Poland. And there was a new law introduced. Of course, I will not be elaborating about the law. I'm not a lawyer. I recommend you to dig a little bit on your own if you want to know more about that. It's not so complicated. The idea behind this law introduced in 2016 was to have, in general, similarity to what we have in Europe, and this restructuring process, one of the type of this, the main one, similar to Chapter 11 in US. So this probably you know. And since that time, the number of this restructuring like exploded, and you can see here that if you are talking about insolvencies, showing only the number of bankruptcies is not giving the full picture and the true picture, what's going on in terms of insolvencies in general for Polish companies. More than 4,500 per year. It's still, I would say, low. It's a kind of, I think, specific for Poland, that there are businesses here are, I would say, waiting for the last minutes to go to the court and call for insolvency, and many of those processes are not even starting because there is not enough capital or assets in the company to cover the court costs. And I heard it's difficult to find very reliable source of information on that. It's heavy work to analyze all those numbers. But I even heard from one of the Polish locals, so very well informed business intelligence agency, that only 10% of restructurings are really open. So if we multiply this number, 4,500 by 10, I think we will be close to real number of insolvencies in Poland. So I should put here 0 probably. So 50,000 insolvencies in Poland per year. This could be the real number, I think. Okay. Something very not, economical, let's say. but I think very important driver of business in countries, not only in Poland but everywhere. So the level of trust, and this is something which worries everyone in Poland for many years, and from the many various surveys, unfortunately, we know that this level of trust in Poland is very low, and this is in terms of social relations, and it influences, of course, the business relations. So the Polish trust, the level of trust in Poland is perceived by our citizens as low, very low, I would say, the lowest in Europe. And this graph is very interesting, which was put together by Ipsos, so the company, the international company doing such a surveys for many years around the different topics, but they just compare the this trust level with, for instance, consumer confidence, which is, I would say, the trigger of consumer decisions, and those decisions has an influence on what companies are selling, and so on and so on. So this is something at the very beginning of business everywhere. So the low, it's a correlation, so we can discuss whether it's a reasonable correlation anyway, but it's proof somehow how bad it is. I mean, this low trust level on business environment overall. And definitely the low trust level impacts let's say negatively the business environment in Poland in general. Of course, it's not a disaster, but something to think about when you think about specific of business in Poland. Employment. So I remember the times when the unemployment in Poland was about 20%. Very shocking number, and as you can see on this graph on the left top side, so this is actually the time when I started my professional career, and it was really hard to get job in Poland, but since that time we did, I think, fantastic job with the help of European Union friends, of course, and now we can be proud that the unemployment level in Poland is one of the lowest in Europe. I think sometimes even the lowest, but the Czech Republic has very similar one. So we are really doing well. There are some issues with the lack of labor force, and this is the new challenge and new phase of this situation now, which was something unthinkable 20 years ago. In the meantime, the wages went up, and the dynamic of wage increase in Poland is really high. I think it's around 15% yearly now. Nothing, I think, nothing extraordinary for all post-Soviet bloc countries, but they are really now on high level, and especially because I'm talking about the average wage increase, but in the meantime there were several major minimum wage increases. So you can see from this graph, right, how it went up for the last years, and here you have number in euro per month. So this is the minimum wage in Poland now is about 900 euros. And the average wage in Poland is around 7,000, close to 7,000 Polish zloty, which is like 1,500 euro, right? You can calculate on your own. The exchange rate now is 4.3. One of the main issue with Polish labor market is the low so-called labor force participation rate. So it's a percentage of people who can work or who work and are in the production age, as we call it, to all people in production age. So it's now it's 60%. It's improvements. It was worse, like 10% percentages points in the past, but in countries like Netherlands, Germany, it's 70-80%. It's not something unusual. So still we need to work on to activate people, especially 50 plus. This is the challenge for Polish economy. And when we go a little bit deeper and in more details, because the average says nothing, as we know, when we go into the deeper in the cost of labor, so here is the our labor cost on the left side for the last year. So you see that Poland is here. It's not the highest. Czech Republic has a higher wage. Slovenia, right? This small country on the Balkans, but we are higher than Bulgaria and Romania and some Baltic countries. And when we look on the Poland, on the right side you have, sorry for that in Polish, but I was not able to find it in English, the Kraków and Małopolska voivodeship. So the region which capital Kraków is has the highest wage, and Kraków average wage is higher than Warsaw one. Look at that. It's in Polish zloty, so you need again divide that by 4.3. So looks like I'm living in the country and in the city with the highest wage in Poland. Unemployment rates comparison to other countries. So you see here statistic for Poland, and unemployment for the last available data is 2.9. Using obviously the European methodology. So the people who actually actively look for a job, not are registered. So it's very low, and Malta is lower, Netherlands, a few other countries, Norway, Iceland, and a few other countries. So it's pretty low, and here you can say on the left side how it's between the regions, and what we already see here more developed is the west side of Poland, and east side has more economical problems and challenges, but it does not mean that there is a trouble there to find a job, but it's definitely better developed west of Poland than east of Poland. Probably you will see that on the next slide when we see and learn a little bit more about the spread of various industrial sectors in Poland. And this is very good, I think, information when you compare the insolvency statistics. Definitely you need to have a clue what is general business demography. What I mean by that, there are different numbers and ratios describing business demography, but here I put information about the number of companies in general. So you have on the right side number of companies, in this column total. Let's look for Poland. Oh, Poland is over there. And again, pretty high on the list, on the fifth place in terms of number of companies. And I also put in this table the number of those big ones. So with 250% employed, we have like more than 3,500. Yeah, again, fifth place, I think, in Europe. And those which are bigger than small business and smaller than large corporations, it's 16,000, also pretty important number. So this is how it looks, and with very or not complicated calculation, you can see that we have more than 2.5 million small businesses in Poland. So pretty large number. And once again, if we go back to the insolvency statistic, my, let's say, explanation about the number of insolvencies in Poland could be more clear to you, and now it's even more clearer to you that 350 insolvencies is really not a number showing the reality in Poland. These are only bankruptcies with liquidation of company, actually. Okay. GDP in Poland, in terms of number, not the dynamic, but the money produced, let's call it like that, by the economy for the last year, Poland is a leader. To be honest, as you see, I put there also Ukraine, apart from a few others from the post-Soviet bloc. So at the beginning of our journey with modern democracy and capitalism, you see that we started almost from the same position, and how it went later you see on this graph. And now we are almost G20. It's very close to Switzerland. We are now on the 21st place in terms of value of GDP in the world. So something which we can be proud of, I think. Some statistics are showing that it's even G20. So this is how Polish GDP looks now. Talking about GDP and economy, it's I think very important to mention what is the what part of GDP is produced by manufacturing, and this level is relatively high, because this line over there shows the total of European Union, and we are somewhere here. Yeah. So the value added as a percentage of GDP provided by manufacturing sector in Poland is higher than average in European Union by let's say 3-4%. So still manufacturing is very important part of Polish economy. I think it will stay like that. We are producer of many things. I will show a couple of examples later on. The problem or the challenge, so this is something, let's say, good. The challenge is the level of investments, and this is something we are talking about in Poland. This level of investment, so which we call in statistical language gross capital formation. So all investments done by companies in Poland is worrying in terms of percentage of GDP, because on this graph you can see that we are on the lowest level, and for emerging countries like Poland, it should be much higher than just around 20%. It should be at least half more than that, because this gross capital formation lies the foundation for the future growth of our economy, and we still need a lot of investments as we are such a young in our experience with capitalism and building the wealth for future generations. So definitely this is something we need to work on. Of course, it does not mean that companies in Poland, they spend nothing on investment. They spend a lot of money. In relative number is worrying, but in number of money spent, it's of course growing, and in the last months is growing pretty rapidly. Of course, the important issue is to look more in detail behind this number, what exactly is bought by companies in Poland. I know that the main part of it are cars, not machines, right? And new technologies. So still a lot to work on, I think. Corporate income tax, maybe, or in general, it's surprising when I'm talking with my friends and people around me, and saying them that Polish level of corporate income tax is the lowest, or almost the lowest in Europe. Ireland, they have 12.5, and in Poland we have 19, just 19% of corporate income tax, and even lower for small business. Small business for the corporate tax, corporate income tax is defined as a business with turnover of 2 million euro and less per year, and those businesses pay 9% of corporate income tax. So it's really low, and in general, this 90%, as you see, is pretty low. So I think there is a lot of room for Polish government to increase the tax, by the way. Export, of course, drives our economy a lot, and the dynamic of Polish export is very impressive. And the share of this export activities in GDP is also very high and growing. As you see, when we compare the European Union in general, we are for the last couple of years above this average. Mainly our Polish export partners are Germany, and it's for various reasons, not only mainly because it's the nearest neighbor on the west, but also Czech Republic, France, UK, Italy, and you can see that our main export partners are located obviously in European Union. And a few words about the any questions, Andriy? Or from the audience, from the chat?
No questions from chat. Yes, but
Any
no
comments?
questions so far, because I still got questions prepared for today's event, so be ready to answer them.
Okay. So let's have a look now on the main industry sectors, or selected by me, right, as a something to be worth to talk about. Automotive in general, and this is the one of the main reason why Germany is our main export partner. Of course, we are not the only one in this part of Europe having a lot of various automotive industry factories. But we can say that we are main automotive parts producer. Unfortunately, we lost in competition of with Czech Republic, Slovakia, or Hungary in terms of production of cars. But automotive parts, we are a titan in this part of Europe. And now we produce a lot of batteries to electric cars with several important producers in Lower Silesia. So this region, Lower Silesia, with capital called Wrocław, in this region we have very high concentration of automotive industry and batteries producers for electric vehicles. Okay, home appliances, so a different kind of it. It's also a pretty important part of Polish industrial sector. On the map you have several locations with brands produced in Poland. One of the main hub of this industry is Łódź, just in the center of Krakow, just in the center of Poland, with several factories, but also Silesia, both parts. A lot of people employed, important export industry, and bringing a lot of money in terms of tax revenue to Polish government. Electronics, TVs, and so on. Again, a lot of different locations, not only in around let's say main cities of Poland. This whole motorway network, it helped definitely to develop or to bring to investors in Poland very interested locations with very good let's say level of costs in terms of labor, obviously, in different locations in Poland. And I think it was also, when we look on the last years, a very good job done by Polish local governments, offering a lot of different incentives to bring the investors there to parts of Poland which in the past has no experience with such a, let's say, international production of goods and services. And so they are spread all around Poland, as you can see on this map. Speaking about Krakow, my city, we have here Motorola, the company I was working for a couple of years. They do not have production here, but they have I mean the hardware production, they have software production, pretty large R&D and engineering center in Kraków with already long history here. Food processing, I think Poland is well known in Europe as a supplier of food, unprocessed and processed. Couple of brands on the map you can see here. Opposite to industrial production like automotive, electronics, home appliances, I think we can say that we have a lot of food processing factories, this time on the east side of Poland, right over there, because of let's say support of natural environment in this region of Poland. Still pretty clean, helping, let's say, to build our local brands as a kind of healthy foods, and which is true actually, very tasty. But we have many more brands, international ones, as you can see on this map on the left side. The challenge, I think, not only for Poland, but we are obviously talking about Poland today, is demography. And now, actually, we have, in terms of employment, unemployment, we have completely opposite situation than it was 20 years ago. More and more Polish businesses, they have really problems to find appropriate or people any kind to do the job, especially in agriculture, but in all other industries, in services as well. So this is because of birth rates and let's say the stats for the last years you can see over here. So it's really catastrophic, we can say, in terms of birds. It was not like this since Second World War. So it's really, really worrying. And we already lost 1 million citizens in the last 10 years. And the forecast is much pessimistic. So we need people from abroad. And we have more and more immigrants, not only from Ukraine. Obviously, this was the main inflow of people to Poland. Now, actually, Ukrainians are moving to the west, to Germany. So when we look on the speaking about migration, because this is something which will help Polish economy when we look on the, when you take into consideration the demography trends as we see here. So the main info for the last couple of years were of immigrants was from Ukraine. Now the net migration, so number of people coming to Poland and leaving Poland, I mean Ukrainians, is negative, and we have more very high dynamic of people from Belarus, so from this country, and from Central and Eastern Asia, from countries like India, Kazakhstan, and so on. So, and also from Latin America, which is something very, very new for Poland. So in big cities, you see those people everywhere, this is definitely something new for all Poland. But without the new people coming to Poland, and this is something which our Polish business is talking for years already, our economy as it is now will not survive, at least will not develop in such a good way like it was in the last years. All right. Probably would like to know how to get information about Polish companies. Of course, you use your own business intelligence companies, but if you want to know what is the source, the direct source of information regarding companies in Poland, you need to know that there are two main business registers. First one, National Court Register. So our National Court Register is having all the data about companies, about those big companies. Let's say it's not the register when you can find information regarding small business. So those big in general, I'm simplifying here, big companies are over there, big and medium, and some others which are required to file here the financials mainly, but some other reports by law. So like foundations or limited liabilities company, no matter what size is, but just because of this legal setup, they are obliged to file the information every year here. So everything is in Polish, sorry for that. But it's a big progress. I remember the times when just 10 years ago, when you need to find any financials about the certain company, you need to physically go to the library at the nearest court and order it before you go there and make a copy and so on. Now everything is online, and really digitalization of Polish courts, like all governmental services, is moving pretty rapidly forward. And you can do more and more online now, including getting information about companies by different registers. So here's the example of this National Code Register. I put on this slide how it looks. You can download financials and any other information like auditor's report, for instance. Financials, and I think it's very important to remember that financials are not in PDF files like you can find, for instance, in Companies House or Unternehmerregister in Germany. They are in special XML format, and you need to have a tool to read that. But with a tool, I have such a tool, local one, and this tool is reading those financials, calculating financial ratios, and it's very, very nice. I will not say the name of it, but I'm saying that because it's very comfortable when you want to work with the numbers coming from financials. If I have PDF file, I need to put it manually to an spreadsheets or so on, something like that. Here, you just need to have a tool, and when you have a tool, it's really a rapid process to transform it to the numbers and work on these numbers. So this is how you can find the information about medium and big business, let's call it like that. And for small business is something called central registration and information on business activity. There are no financials there, but at least you can check that company exists, right? And what are the basic information about the certain company. Of course, there is a tool checking whether certain company is active taxpayer or VAT payer, but this you can check on the European level as well. There's a tool for that. So these are local ones, and as you see, this register is in English, not like the previous one, but this one is in English as well. How Poland look like in terms of payment backlogs? So this is the data. I would say it's very hard to get something we can trust 100%, and it's not. I'm saying that with no intention of saying that any reports are not trustworthy, but it's really a very big challenge to have a very broad picture. Definitely something which is worth to look at is interim yearly report, and these are screenshots from this European payment report. I think it reflects the reality very nice. So countries, as you see on this graph, how B2B payments looks in whole Europe, and where is Poland? In European average, we have almost 2 months. In Poland, we have just 1 day longer. So we are very close to European average. Of course, this is the real payment period, not contractual payment term, but the real payment period. The contractual payment term is something different, unfortunately, mainly shorter one. And the difference between one and the first and the second is so-called payment gap. So we need to remember to differentiate both things. And in general, the average payment gap in B2B transactions in Europe is like 15 days, as you can see here. Also, I think important is, in terms of the new law being just introduced by European Union, and as probably we have a directive, European directive on late payment. Now European Union is working on regulation. But already under the directive, there is a possibility for businesses to charge 40 euro per every late payment. And I think it's important to see how in reality is exercised. So just half of the companies are doing that, and I would say when you look at small businesses, almost nobody is doing that. It's, in Poland, they can say it with big confidence that this law is very theoretic. There was a report issued by European Commission by body called Payment Observatory. So this is a project of European Commission having one place when you can check how the payment behaviors are in countries, in European Union countries. So it's very interesting projects. We everyone interested in credit management support that on local, on European level, and they issue a report comparing different kind of information. Unfortunately, in this report, Poland looks pretty bad. As I said before, when you compare different reports, you receive different results. Interim report is not showing Poland as bad as this European Commission report. I would say that, as always in life, the truth is somewhere in the middle. So Polish payment culture is not perfect. There are some challenges, and especially in the past, delaying of payment was used as a very widely as a tool to improve the cash flow. Not always because there was a reason for that, but now it's getting better and better. And I think what is the most important, the atmosphere around that, is that businesses are perceived better when they show that they pay on time. So they try to build their image in this field by having payment culture on higher and higher level. We can also look in numbers which are, I would say, very reliable. I mean the financials which are collected by Polish Statistical Office from companies with 10 and more employees. So all those companies, they are obliged to send to Polish Statistical Office selected financial figures. The office is putting that together and publishing a report with cumulative numbers, sorry, not cumulative, but aggregating these numbers and publishing per economy branch. So I'm working a little bit with this this number because it's very interesting. For instance, when you look for averages doing your financial analysis, and you want to compare the financial ratios of one of the company with average in the industry this company is working in. So from at least this reason, this data is very interesting, but it's also possible to calculate DSO and the financial ratios you for sure you know. And from this calculation, we see how different sectors are, which is pretty normal. And as a credit manager, for sure, you look more on DPO when you analyze your customers, because this statistic will show how late invoices are paid. Obviously, DPO in trades is very high. It's more than 200 days. But when we look on other sectors, the average payment time is definitely more than 60 days in Poland, more than 2 months now. Which is interesting to compare with the regulation of European Commission, which is about to be introduced, when this regulation was saying about 30 days payment term as a one common for all companies around European Union. Now that has changed a little bit, but this was the intention to have at the beginning, to have such regulations. And for Polish companies, 2 months as a real payment term is a norm, as you see here. we introduce the before mentioned by me the directive of European Union, European Commission. We introduced that to fight and to improve late payments in Poland. So the status quo of law we have now is that 60 days payment term is the maximum which is allowed for the contractual payment term. And what is more important, there is somebody who controls that. There is no law without controlling tools and without enforcement tools as well. So we have both. Ministry of Economic Development and Technology in Poland is a body who is taking care about reporting. Every company every big company, I mean the big so-called big taxpayer. So when you look back on my slides in the business demography, so those 3,500 companies in Poland, they have obligation to report the payment behaviors, and from both ways, how they receive the payments and how they pay. So and they send every year a report to this ministry in Poland. Another body, Office of Competition and Consumer Protection, they have ability to for giving the penalties, and they control how companies are paying. They are able to issue penalties, fees, and they do it. Actually, it's not empty regulation. As you see here, there was like 10 million euro of penalties in 2022. Oh, sorry, I have here typo mistake. And these penalties are issued every year, and I think it's a very good tool to improve payment behaviors in Poland. And obviously, we can discuss whether it should be like with reporting obligation. It should be reported by everyone, by big companies, but probably you agree that experience shows that mainly big companies they use their competitive position to delay payments. So starting to a rigor of avoiding late payments from them, it's not a bad idea, I think. And this report, it's not perfect. Actually, it's pretty poor, but I tried to get some aggregate data from it. So it's a blend of those aggregate data, how really delays looks like. And let's focus on this first table, payments made, and the last available data is from 2022. So the share of all delays in total reported payments is like 1, 2, maximum 3%. So it's not huge, I would say, number. It's pretty normal. But this is when we compare the total number of payments made to payments made with a delay. But the picture is a little bit different when I take company by company, how they report, and average of their share of delays. So it's higher, definitely, And from this calculation, we see that mainly delays are up to 30 days, up to 1 month. Yeah. And at the end, I think here is the comparison regarding mentioned by me late payment directive, current Polish law, and the proposed regulation in the latest form. So to summarize, Polish law is going a little bit farther than the directive, so it's implemented, which is not so obvious when you look on countries in Europe. We implemented very quickly with much higher, with higher fees that what European Commission proposed as a 40 euro flat. The fees for late transaction depends on the amount of this transaction. So the minimum is 40, then it's 70 and 100. We have obviously the interest, with the exception of health service. We have maximum payment term of 30 days for B2B, for government to business 30 days. And we have this obligation of reporting by big taxpayers, and I think what is interesting is the tax is the tax relief or tax excuse possibility for companies which report the invoices paid late. So they can deduct from their VAT payments the VAT on those late invoice only when they are late more than 90 days. So we can discuss obviously whether it's helpful or not, but it's a kind of tool to have tax deduction because of late payments for companies. Okay, that's all. Thank you very much.
Robert, thank you. This was great presentation. Actually, no questions from my side were needed, so you prepared everything and you've covered even more than expected, with except for maybe a couple of things, but I think we will come back to that later. As you mentioned, can you please stop sharing the screen so we all can see you and great big freckle. I got one question from my side, being credit specialist. You provide us with a great overview of late payments. However, I mean, in my practice, and I believe you know that, good half of delayed payments are connected with disputes. Whether or not, to my question, whether or not this late payment statistics is connected with disputes, or is it dispute free?
No, there are no disputes there.
Okay. I understand. So this includes disputes as well. Yes.
Yes. Of course, because it's nobody is adding any commentary whether this delay is connected with dispute or with cash flow issues. They just need to report, or this is the intention of this reporting, to make a confession, right? About I, as a company, pay my invoices to my suppliers and how I receive payments from my customers. So there is no commentary or something. They just need to report the number. So it's a very good question. I believe it includes, of course, the disputes.
Yeah, that's what I because that's what I where I get to in my practice, looking at companies and analyzing companies' credit functions. We always see, okay, we have overdue. Like when you look at company, annual report, you can see high overdue or low overdue. I mean, low overdue is self-explanatory, but when it is high, then it's a question: what are the reasons behind these overdues? Because there are lots of things, and I am quite interested because I was always curious about opinion among the credit managers I am in contact with was like, okay, there is EU legislation about late payments and about maximum credit terms. And this gives a rise to two questions, mainly. First one, that, this late payment and this maximum credit term is normally applied for local market. Whether or not it works in the same or similar way for exporters and importers, for exporters actually. So between two Polish companies, there is a legislation and there is fine for late payments or, let's say, abuse of credit. I like this term. Psychologically, it is more correct. But whether or not this would be the same or similar if, for instance, there is an exporter from Switzerland to Poland, whether or not this legislation gives exporter from Switzerland to any other country, let's use, I don't know, Lesotho, would be protected in the same way as local Polish company.
No, this is a very interesting question. I don't think it's obligation for European Union companies to have the maximum of 30 days payment terms. And I don't think the regulation is mentioning or is making a difference as you did, and very
between
correctly,
company from
between
EU?
between EU and non-EU company. Yeah, I don't think it's precisely described.
So
how
there
it
is,
should be.
I mean, according to legislation, there is no, let's say, discrimination between EU companies or Polish companies, EU companies, and non-EU companies. This we speak about late payment, and fines are to be applied accordingly to payment behavior, regardless where the specific creditor or supplier is located in.
Yeah. I think that if we have a law saying that in European Union you cannot put on your invoice more than 30 days of payment term, you have to do that no matter what the end customer is, right?
Yes.
So whether you're supplying from Poland to Germany, or from Germany to Sweden, or from Germany to Switzerland, or from Poland to Morocco, you are obliged to apply the 30 days, right?
Yes. And if you can just a little bit elaborate about this mechanism of protection. So, okay, there is legislation, and I noticed that there are already fines paid for the payment delays.
Okay.
But on the level of day-to-day practice, imagine I am the Polish company and I don't receive payments on time from one of my customers who is quite a big company. From your presentation, I understood that this company supposed to report the aggregated information about their payments. But imagine I I was I don't know, found by this by this customer as a weak victim who is not able to say something just because of their bargain capacity. Do I have any procedure? Do I have any way to protect myself from such a, let's call it, abusive behavior?
Mm-hmm. You can always discuss with the body who is giving the penalties, the fees,
Mhm.
and report
Mhm.
to them such a situation. But you know, I believe still it depends on the amount of your late payment, right? No,
Mhm.
to be honest, nobody will care, right, about one small invoice.
Absolutely.
They just care about big things, and it's yeah, because it's not only about about penalties, but about all this mechanism of blame and shame.
Well,
Uh,
yes,
but still, when you have your own delay is the best way. Obviously you can charge them with this 40 70 100 euro cost,
Mhm.
but using collection agency, it's the still the best way to and checking the customer before you do the business, and maintaining the good business relationship. So it's like the Bible of good credit
Oh,
management. It's the best answer I can give. Yeah.
Robert, that was the question we discussed, because last session about the UK, we were discussing that with Philip King.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you, as you know, I mean, Philip is pretty
I know.
much involved in all the initiatives related to late payments and how to protect small businesses from that, late payment delays of big customers and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I always repeat, and I am on the same side of the road as you are. I
Mm-hmm.
always say, what do you? I mean, each time people come to us to credit engineering to help them to recover the debt, I
Mm-hmm.
always say, gentlemen, my first question: what did you do to be paid?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I mean, this is business, and when you are in business, you're supposed to be ready to solve your issues yourself. And the question, and the main question, and I still continue to insist that with all these legislative and regulation initiatives
Mm-hmm.
done by EU, by governors, by everything, no one will protect you if you don't perform proper credit management.
No. Cannot agree with you more. Yeah.
Okay, so Robert, we still got several questions. So because um,
Mm-hmm. To be honest, I need to finish in 5 minutes if you
so yeah,
don't mind.
the question there will be like I will just a couple of questions. There is a question from John LaRocca. What tools do you use to analyze credit risk? If you can, I mean, financial statements, if you can give a brief
Me?
answer.
Mm-hmm. Uh, of course, the question is to Polish companies, right? I have a tool, local one, so this will say nothing, but it's very well described on PICM PL website called e-analysis,
Mhm.
e-analiza in Polish, and this tool uh, is adapted to work with XML files from National Code Register in Poland. So this is the tool I use to automate financial analysis.
Okay, and maybe one more question. Are the personal income taxes higher or tax on goods purchased? A bit unclear, but if I can adapt it, you say that you said that because I think I understand what you mean. When we consider when jurisdictions are considerate for doing business, Normally, analysts take two components. It's a corporate tax, which is pretty important, but at the same time, there is a personal tax, which normally applied on dividends, on things like that. So, what would be the combination? If I understood correctly, you got 19% corporate tax in Poland. Can you please share with everyone? Obviously, this information is on the internet, but what is the tax? What's the personal tax, which would be also the tax on dividends, and what is the level of VAT?
So in terms of personal tax, we have progressive scale. So the more you earn, the more you pay the tax. And there is a certain amount without taxation, personal income
Obviously,
taxation.
yes.
Yeah, I think it's pretty low. It's like 10,000 euros, something like that. And the personal income tax is similar to corporate. So the base rate is 19%.
So it will be 38 altogether.
Why together?
So what I'm trying to say, you say 19% is 90% is a corporate tax. So imagine there is a company who made, I don't know, $1 million net profit, or let's say profit before tax. Then they have to pay 190 as a corporate tax, and all the rest could be distributed to a dividend. And this provided I am the one let's say shareholder, if I want to distribute that to me, how much tax I have to pay on that?
This is different topic. 90%, as I said, is on income from the personal income tax from the contract labor. So we have different scale on the contract labor. So regular employment, and on dividend, as far as I remember, is like 9% of tax. So
which is quite low.
Anyway, our tax system differentiate the source of income and tax rates. So 90% I was talking about is on the regular contract.
Yes.
So you receive wage every month, right? A dividend is something, yearly. So from that is, as far as I remember, but I think I'm correct, 9%. In terms of VAT, we have obviously few rates. 8, 0, 8, and 23% of VAT.
So 23.
Yeah, 23 is on services, for instance. 8 is for food.
Okay. In Switzerland, we have similar one. But again, if you just compare, Poland to Switzerland, in Switzerland, we might have, depending on canton, we might have quite low corporate tax, but at the same time, dividend tax is 35%. So altogether, it is quite high. And one more thing, ladies and gentlemen, just please don't blame Robert for whatever he says. Each time you need information about taxes, you need to go to local tax advisor. If you got question about law, you always ask advice for a local lawyer. That's what Robert correctly said. Robert, I will repeat one of the comments which was said today. Thank you very much for being today with us, for being that great ambassador of Poland, the country I love myself, and we keep in touch. We have to release Robert because he has another error today. And please, if you have questions, put them in comments, and Robert will read, and I will translate them to him, so you will get your answers. In the end, as usual, I wish everyone to have highest possible sales, lowest possible losses, or as it could be said here in Geneva, in French, on credit. See you.